Thank you. Oh, sorry. Good morning, everybody. I'm Steve Masters. I'm Services Director at Vertical Leap. We're a integrated marketing agency with our headquarters in Portsmouth, and we're a search and digital specialist. So we kind of do a bit of everything, but we work with specialist teams. And I want to talk about how different services work together. And the whole purpose of this talk, really, that the title is relating to eyeballs as in users. So we're not actually talking about eyeballs. I want you to think about data-led marketing, because a lot of people talk about marketing being data-driven these days. And think about whether you know the answer to this question. Do you know your most successful marketing channel? Is it PPC? Is it SEO? Is it social media? Do you departmentalize your marketing and work out whether email marketing is more successful than PR, for example? And if you do think you know the answer to this question, I'm hoping that by the end of this presentation, you may think again. If it doesn't make you think again, then you're probably already ahead of me. Let's think about old-fashioned online marketing. Before we had Google Analytics and ways of segmenting our data and working out what our users do, we used to do things like this. How did you hear about us? Did you hear about us on Google? Was it an email newsletter? Did you get a referral from a friend? Did you click on a web ring, whatever the god that is? I mean, I don't even know what a web ring is. How would a consumer know whether to say yes to that? And we used to ask these questions, and people still ask those questions today on their websites. It's useless information. If anybody's doing this, it's a waste of time for two reasons. First of all, it gets in the way of somebody filling in a form. It slows them down. Why do I need to work hard to try to calculate where I came from? I don't really care. I just want to buy some shoes, right? Also, generally, people will pick the wrong thing. They'll say, I came from Google, when in fact they didn't really come from Google. They maybe just started their journey at Google and then ended up on your website, and all they remember is that that's where they started. So they'll tell you they came from Google, when in fact maybe somebody said, go and search for this company. That's a friend referral. So to me, this information is completely old hat, and we shouldn't really be doing it anymore. We've got much more powerful access to data these days. And this screenshot, I appreciate you can't read the numbers, but I'll just explain what it is for those who probably are not familiar with analytics. In Google Analytics, you can break your traffic down by source. And what this shows us is the four main traffic sources: organic search, PPC, direct traffic, and referral traffic. So I can see on any website that I'm tracking where the traffic breaks down. I can also see there on the right-hand side whether the users are new users or returning users. And I can see that by channel. So that's very useful information. My PPC is performing better on, for example, if I look at this slide, on a desktop than it is on a mobile. In the fourth column there, I've got a bounce rate of 51% from paid traffic. On mobile, I'm getting a 73, nearly a 74% bounce rate. Now, as a PPC specialist, I might be saying, something's wrong here. The mobile site is not performing. There's work I can do to improve this number. So all of this granular data is really powerful, and it allows us to make incremental improvements at every level and every department of the marketing mix. But very often, we attribute sales to the wrong information, because if we look at the data as it's given to us by analytics, we may not be understanding the real truth of that data, because we have to find the truth. The surface data may not be telling us the full story. And if you think about, for example, the relationship between those four traffic sources, people can come through PPC or organic search and direct traffic and referral. And obviously referrals can come from social networks, from links on websites. Direct traffic can come from an email newsletter. So the data might tell us things that we think are true. However, here's one example. The way we browse has changed. In this example here, I'm doing a search on Google for Vertical Leap. Obviously, my own brand. I don't need to search for it, as you'd appreciate, but I like to see occasionally what people see. And in this search result, you can see two examples of what Google's giving me. I've got PPC AdWords results, and I've also got organic results. Now, if I click on the top one, Google Analytics will tell me that the traffic came via PPC. If I click on the bottom one, it will tell me that it came from organic, right? So that's pretty straightforward. Now, if I click on the bottom one and then fill in a conversion form or whatever it might be, then that conversion will be tracked back to SEO. However, browsers have changed, because in the old days, we would have an address bar and a search bar. If you fill in the search bar, whether you put in a web address or a phrase, that will trigger a search result, and you'll get a search result page, and then you click on that page, like the one I've just looked at. However, now that the address bar and the search bar have been combined, the traffic is mixed up. So, for example, I start typing vertical leap, my Chrome browser tells me, oh, you probably mean this. Here's a web address for you. If I choose that web address and go straight to it, that's then a direct source. I'm getting direct traffic to my website. However, mentally, I'm searching for it. So what should I be counting that as? And some people argue that if a person's searching for your brand or putting your brand into the address bar and triggering a search, that should be treated as direct traffic, because they already know you, they're looking for you. So the data doesn't necessarily tell us what the real motivation behind that traffic source is. I want to introduce you to Iris. Iris is our eyeball for today. Here's a very brief buyer persona. She's 28 years old, she's IT literate, she works in event planning, and so she needs to stay in touch with venues and what's going on in the marketplace. She attends a lot of trade shows because she wants to know how events are run and who goes to these things. And she also stays in touch with marketing. She keeps herself well informed. So she subscribes to newsletters and reads blogs and that kind of thing. So she's pretty busy online because she likes to keep herself informed. So that's Iris. Now let's imagine that Iris has come to your website. And I'd like you to pretend for a moment that you work for a website that is dedicated to venues. So let's imagine our business is, or your business is, a directory of venues, and it's the kind of website that would want Iris as a reader. Because when she books a venue, you want her to come to you so that you can earn commission, or you can sell more placements on your directory. So she's your target customer. She comes to your website, she fills in a form, and then Google Analytics says to you that conversion came from a search. So as we can see here, your inquiry form had, in this time frame, 1,400 views and 1 conversion. That's Iris. So she's gone through, filled in the form. SEO works. The SEO team are, yay! SEO proves itself because we're getting conversions. ROI proven. However, the social media team probably don't know that they started all this. This is our social media team, by the way. Strange bunch. But they all started this train because Iris actually began her journey in a Twitter chat. So let's imagine 3 months, 6 months ago, there was a Twitter chat hosted by us, our website, and we're talking about venues in West 1, and Iris, either by accident or through a friend, has discovered this chat and she's taking part in the chat. She's posting an answer to a question. There you can see her. And she's talking about venues that allow catering, and she's asking a question. If anybody's got recommendations, let me know. Somebody has replied with a link to a page. And that link to that page goes to a page of our website. So here's our directory full of venues where you can take your own caterers, and it's meant to be a useful resource for Iris to go and read. Iris goes to that page. She's now got a cookie. We've now placed a cookie on Iris's computer so we know who she is. And if we're running some kind of campaign, a remarketing campaign, we can tie that cookie to a list for Google AdWords remarketing. And then when sometime later she's in holiday mode and she's looking at places to go in Thailand, and she's on a holiday website and reading blogs about where to go, she sees an advert in that page, a remarketing advert from our website, which tells her, we've got an ebook for you, a guide to London venues. Would you like to download this ebook? That's obviously going to catch her eye. Hopefully she's going to recognize the brand and the coloring that's on that advert. She clicks through and downloads the ebook and maybe subscribes to our mailing list. So she's now got an email address in our mailing list. So we've already got her, right? Next month, she's at home. She's cooking chili con carne and waiting for it to bubble away, and she's checking her phone. And, you know, emails are coming in, so she says, right, okay, I'll have a look at my emails because I've got nothing else to do except drink a bit of wine. And she sees an email from us promoting a London venue review that we've done on our website. It's a highlight review, and there's a special offer from this venue for people to come and have a look because it's Christmas time or whatever it might be, and it catches her eye. So she clicks through on that email. She's now visited our website again. That's a direct referral. She's been on our website now multiple times. She's earned us no money at all. Now she's at a trade show. She's dressed a little bit street because she doesn't want to be sold to by loads of marketing people. I'm sure you all appreciate that. And she's trying to be incognito, and she's walking around and she sees that we've got a stand there. She comes to our stand and she talks to our salespeople, and she's having a little chat. She hasn't really identified herself. She maybe says, I've been on your website, I know what you do. And the salesperson takes her card and puts it in the pot, maybe puts her in a prize draw. And when they go back to the office, the salespeople then say, I've got a lead. This woman called Iris is now a trade show lead. What the salespeople don't know is that she's already a lead. She's been in our system already. She's on our mailing list. She's already got a cookie. We're already serving adverts to this lady. She knows us already. The only reason she came to talk to you is because we've already laid the groundwork without really doing much work. She then connects on LinkedIn. So she's connected with a salesperson or the marketing manager, and this connection tells her, maybe for a private message, we've got a Google Plus page. Go and have a look. So she goes to our Google Plus page, she clicks +1. She's now got a relationship with us, which may result in her not only seeing things we post on Google Plus, but also she may see us higher in search results when she searches for our keywords or our brand, because Google knows that she's got a connection with us, she's got an interest. So that can help us in the search results. An opportunity arises for Iris. She's out playing on the slopes on holiday. She's got a little woolly hat on, and she gets an email saying that somebody wants her to organise a venue or organise an event, and she needs to find a venue. And she needs to get back to them quickly. She's got no laptop with her. She's got nothing except her phone or her iPad. And so what she does is she goes to Google, opens up Chrome, and she types in the name of our brand because she roughly remembers it, but she can't remember the address. So she types it in, then comes to our website, then fills in an inquiry form, and analytics says that was an SEO inquiry. But we know, obviously, that it comes from social media, from PPC, from everything else. Everybody with me so far? I know a lot of you are probably well up on this. So let's look at conversion paths. Google Analytics allows us to break this down. You may have heard of the idea of last click attribution, that the fact that it's the last click that gets them to your site that matters, but actually it's the whole journey that matters, and Google Analytics allows us to see this in the top conversion paths. So what this shows us here is that in a lot of cases on this particular website, this is a client site, I can't tell you who, the journey starts on PPC. So people type in a phrase such as, I need a plumber, or I need a tailor, or whatever it might be. They see an advert, they click on the advert. That brings them to the website that then captures them either through the branding or through the message or whatever it is. They then come back either through a direct link or through an organic search, or maybe they click on another PPC ad. So very often, what happens is you are paying for the same person to visit your website 4, maybe 5 times. You're paying for 4 clicks on PPC. Is that efficient? I don't know. It depends on the cost of the click. However, very often what happens is people measure the PPC channel, for example, by whether they get a sale off every click. And sometimes that's not really the true picture. And also PPC sometimes is not measured well because it leads to these other conversions. And people seem to think that PPC either works or it doesn't. It's not really that simple. It's part of the whole journey. And the same thing works the other way around. You can get PPC traffic that started out as a direct link from an email newsletter. So you really need to kind of capture everyone wherever they are at the time. I want to talk about brand recognition, because we talked about Iris's journey, but this journey of the eyeball through finding you in a meandering way. But what that means is that we need to be recognizable wherever that person finds us. So what we don't want to do is have a very disparate approach to our marketing where, for example, we've got some guy over here designing banners and somebody over here designing an email newsletter and somebody else doing something else, where all of those things have different messaging, different branding. It's really important for the recognition and the memory to be triggered at every stage so that we can make sure people remember the brand name or the key phrase that they need to search for, and things like that. Now, I know this is probably obvious to a lot of you, but very often companies that, our own companies that we work in or companies that we see, they don't do this, and it's left to lots of different people, and there's nothing that brings it together, and that's where the integration really comes in. So symbolism like a poppy, for example, is a really good hook. Penguin is a good example here, because Penguin is a publisher of many products, many books. Each book is a brand in itself. Each author is a brand in itself. They publish different types of media, but the one thing that holds it together, that tells you it's a Penguin product, is that little penguin icon. So wherever they appear, on Facebook, here I've got them on Facebook, Pinterest, Google Plus and Twitter. So yesterday they launched Sylvia Day's new book. That's their post on Twitter. They've promoted their Christmas advert. All through these messaging, of course, we recognize Penguin. Here's another example. Firebox. They carry their persona through their attitude. Obviously, they have a brand. They've got a name that is memorable. And they have the logo that appears everywhere. But it's their attitude that carries them well, because they write their copy really well. They say on their website it's not for everyone. They use phrases like new stuff. They've got a box on this homepage, which you can't see here, called Crap Wrap, which is basically taking the mickey out of Christmas wrapping paper and how to wrap presents badly. And they do a lot of fun stuff, and the irreverence is kind of carried through. Here's one of their products. They make little jokes underneath. I don't know if you can see that. It says, the Stormtrooper cookie jar. Aren't you a little shortbread for a Stormtrooper? Lots of little dad jokes like that, little puns everywhere. And the copy's written in a very humorous, magazine-y way. It's very enjoyable to read, even if you're not buying the products. It's very engaging. And then on social media, what they do is they carry that ethos through. So on Facebook and Twitter, for example, they're promoting here, celebrate one of the greatest deaths in all cinema history, where they're talking about a candle from Indiana Jones. They're saying here on Twitter that we can look behind the scenes at Firebox and enjoy what they do in the office. And on Google Plus, they're not afraid to use the word, okay, they said bullshit, but they've started out, not that brave. But they're basically linking to something somebody else has done and saying, we like this is fun, you'll enjoy this. They're not promoting themselves, they're just enjoying the medium and hopefully having fun with their audience. And that attitude kind of carries right through. Back at the office, we kind of work with this picture in mind, the whole buyer journey. So you've got the top of funnel right down to beyond the bottom of the funnel, you know, the retention phase. And very often retention is not just about keeping a customer, it's about getting them to come back to you and getting them to refer people back to you through the top of the funnel. And if you break the marketing mix down, you might say, okay, SEO is top of the funnel, PPC's at the bottom, and social's kind of a bit of both, and content and design kind of go across the whole mix because they all play a role. But all of this kind of shows how you can think about your journey at different points and where people are in that buying cycle. And that's kind of the approach we take to when we talk to clients, you know, at what stage do they think their users are at and what kind of things do they need? So let's look at a very simple strategy of how 3 channels can work together. Let's imagine we're going on social media because we're going to produce an ebook. We want to put together a really engaging bit of content, a bit of link bait, and a valuable property that we know is only ours and people will enjoy. So we know our buyer personas tell us what people want. We put this content together. In order to create the content, we go out on social media first. We can host a Twitter chat. We can engage people on Facebook or wherever we want to go. And we can find the influencers. We can find the specialists who know about this topic. So instead of us just writing about it, we can use the marketplace and ask people what they think, get their feedback. We can quote experts. We can put facts in there and things that we know people will think, oh, that's good. It's not just them trying to sell me stuff. It's them collating a lot of really good information that I want to know. So we can use social to get that outreach going. And that, of course, reaches out to influencers on day one, before we've even published the content. When we publish the ebook, we can then promote that ebook. This is the content marketing element. We create the content, we then push it out there through not only social media, going back to the people that we've included in the ebook, we can push it out to other influencers, media, through PR, email newsletters, whatever it might be. We get that content out there, and then hopefully people will come through the website with the aim of building a list of people on our AdWords remarketing campaign to then serve adverts to those people. So there's threefold strategy actually. The first is to do outreach before we've created content, and to use the outreach to create the content. We then use the content as the collateral to capture people, to get them to the website. Some of those people will download that and join our mailing list. The ones that don't, we can capture them again for remarketing and then keep them coming back to the website. And this is a very simple approach, but it's a really good way of how 3 different channels can really complement each other. A quick look at conversion paths. I mentioned this before. Here are 2 examples of some analytics stats. On the left-hand side, this particular path, which goes from paid search to a referral link to 8 direct visits, that's somebody coming back to the site 8 times, and then 2 referrals, finally ending in a conversion. The value of that conversion and that specific path was the highest of all the paths that we had on this particular website. Now, I'm not going to go into why that happened, but as you can see, there's 12 times those people or that person came to the website before they converted. And if you look on the right-hand side, you can see that many of the conversions happen over a long period of time. That path from paid search click to referral at the end may have taken 3 months or longer. On the right-hand side, for example, there are about nearly 3% of people that converted, visited the website over 61 to 90 days. So from the first visit to the last visit, that's how long it took. And as many of us know, B2B conversions can take a lot longer. It could be a year, it could be 2 years. It's about building that awareness and that brand recognition. So it's a multi-channel world. Here are 5 key areas. And I know that this doesn't include things like email marketing or PR, but I lump those into social or content marketing, really, because it's all about outreach and brand awareness. And basically, just to talk you through some of this, content marketing has a bearing on all the other channels. Content feeds SEO. Content feeds PPC, because, as we've seen, you can create content that can drive people to your traffic to then serve adverts to those people. And design is a core element of everything, because form and function make a big difference. How long people stay on your site, whether they recognize your page, and whether they do the things on the page that you want them to do. The way the page is designed is really important. And of course, the copy on the page. And then PPC also feeds content marketing, because the way your campaigns work in PPC allows you to then use that data to find what works, what doesn't, and then you can feed your content strategy back from the data that you get from all these other channels. So everything kind of feeds everything else, although they can work in isolation. So for me, it's all about the bottom line. If you're looking at, for example, and I don't know obviously what you all do, but if you're back in your business and you're saying, well, the SEO guys are not doing a great job because our rankings aren't great, or the PPC people, they cost us a load of money because we're not getting conversions, maybe looking too granularly at each individual channel could be the wrong thing to do. But for me, the overriding thing is, are you winning? Are you winning in the overall picture? Is your business growing? Are you getting the sales? Because those sales may not come from one specific thing. Each channel feeds the others. Don't measure your marketing channel in isolation. Use them in combination to create that force multiplier. So SEO can really work for you, can get you the rankings that you need, can get you the visibility and the traffic. PPC, obviously you have the difference because you can pay to get them to whatever page you like. So you have the two working in combination, and of course all the other things in your marketing mix. In isolation can be tracked and measured and planned for, but actually combining them, combining the efforts and the tracking and the data gives you that force multiplier that gives you a much bigger picture and a more combined effect. That's me done, really. I don't know how much under or over I am, but if you want to talk to us, you can. We're on stand D50, I believe. But just hang around, have a chat. And if anybody has a question or a comment that they'd like answered, I'm happy to do so now. Otherwise, you can come and talk to us later on. Thank you very much for your time.